I speak a great deal to how our past affects our present. I'm not the first person to speak to that. I'm not the first person to say that what we've experienced as children really can affect our adult lives and our adult relationships. And it's something that I focus on a great deal, not so much the past, but healing from the past. Healing the unconscious grooves that have been embedded in our brains, that have shaped how we behave and how we see the world and feel ourselves. And lately I've been feeling really agitated in my body, and I've been feeling big feelings like guilt and shame, and I've been feeling I want to be alone. I want to repel and push away from the world and just be in my own space. And I've been reflecting on what does that actually mean for me. But let me give you some more background. And so as children, we have these big experiences. In fact, everything is a big experience as a child because we're so passive in our learning. What we are exposed to, we just take for truth. And from a neurological perspective, as we're developing this plasticity, as we're developing this absorbing our environment, we're getting to learn more about ourselves, but we're just highly susceptible to what we're exposed to. And so some of you may know that, part of my growing up was very violent, very volatile, very shaming. I didn't feel accepted. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel appreciated. Fundamental human needs. And I'm not special in this case. So many children move through the world not developing a healthy core center of self. And so I took a lot of that into my adulthood. I took a lot of that behavior that I was exposed to, how I was treated. I would then treat myself and treat others. I was treated aggressively. I was treated in a way that didn't nurture my sensitivities or who I was as a child. And so I took that into my adult world. That shaped who I became. It shaped how I saw the world. What it also did was shaped how I treated others. And so, I'm noticing the last, in case you can't tell, I'm in a very beautiful place. I'm in West Glacier, or Glacier National Park, here in Montana, in the US. COVID and what is happening in the world doesn't have us traveling too much these days, and so a lot of it is very much intercontinental, so within the US. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm very, very blessed and feel very privileged to even be able to have access to that. I just know that at this time as well, I would have been in Europe, so maybe this video would have been coming to you from Europe, or maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be reflecting the way that I am. But what I'm noticing is that there's this projection that I'm giving, and it's difficult to express. It's difficult to speak to. It's difficult to digest because there's an embarrassment and a shame that comes with this. Because what I'm seeing and what I'm noticing is that I'm projecting this abrasiveness, this harshness onto my wife, and so we're here, we're hiking, we're experiencing the world, and some of the hikes are a little difficult, and some are moderate. We're not doing anything too intense. There's no alpine climbing here or anything like that. But I'm just finding myself being agitated, and my wife is an amazing human being. She's and I get to say this because I chose to be with her for a reason. She's a very special person, and of course we all are. But there's just something about her that just is. She's a gift to humanity and a gift to me. And part of who she is, she has these sensitivities. And of course, I'm not going to go too deeply into that. That's not what this is about. But she has these sensitivities. And as we all know, or sometimes we don't, but our gifts can also be, you've heard that saying, what a blessing and a curse. Our gifts also have a shadow element. The way that we express has a shadow element to it as well. And so, for example, you can be really giving. You're a generous person. You can also be generous to a fault, because if you go into people pleasing, if you go into appeasing others, if you go into overgiving and sacrificing your needs, that becomes a shadow behavior. That becomes a very painful experience. You start cultivating resentment. So giving is a beautiful thing, but we can overgive. And so what I'm seeing is that this sensitivity, these beautiful sensitivities to her environment, the world and people, they are gifts for her, because she's able to read into people, read into situations and see the world. And it reminds me a lot of me. When I was a child, when I was a kid, I was very sensitive to the world. I was very sensitive to my environment, very connected to my environment. And that was beaten out of me, physically and emotionally. It wasn't accepted, it wasn't nurtured, it wasn't seen. I remember as a kid having these almost like amplified senses, particularly with my hearing and my vision. And that was mocked, that wasn't nurtured, that wasn't explored further, that was just numbed. And so I'm seeing Christine and I'm seeing her sensitivities reminding me of me. And I'm just, by the way, made these connections the last couple of days. I'm getting angry at her. I'm getting upset at her that she's got these sensitivities, that she's not walking fast enough, that she's, maybe has a pain in her foot or a pain in her back, or why is this happening, or whatever it may be. And I feel very guilty thinking about this, and I feel very guilty then projecting it on her, because it's coming out in shortness, it's coming out in me being abrasive and impatient. And the conclusion that I've come to is that there's still some parts within me that are unhealed, that not so much unhealed fully, but they just need a deeper layer of attention. They need a deeper layer of, I need to go into this, because I'm finding that I'm projecting onto the person that I care about so deeply, that I admire and honor so deeply, that I'm meant to be a safe space for. And she feels that. She feels my frustration and my shortness. She feels my impatience. And really I'm criticizing her, but I'm not criticizing her, I'm criticizing me. I'm criticizing aspects of me. I'm doing what was done to me. I'm doing it to myself, and I'm projecting that onto the person that I love and care for so deeply, because we spend time together. Obviously, we spend so much time together. And so, why am I sharing this with you? There's a number of reasons. But we do this all the time. This is what we do as humans. We project unconsciously and unknowingly onto others our own pain, or our own discomfort, or what we're not really connected to, or what we don't own within ourselves. I don't own those sensitivities within myself, because along the line I have deemed them to be a weakness, and a weakness is not acceptable. Now, I'm all for vulnerability, clearly. I don't have an issue with being vulnerable. But if I've made an association in my past that I'm so attached to as a belief system around, well, that's a weakness, and not a sensitivity or not a gift, and I see it as a weakness, unconsciously and or consciously, I will project that onto others. And we do this in relationship all the time. We are seeing it in the world today. We are seeing people's own fears and anger and repressed stuff and unresolved wounds being played out on a global scale. I will definitely be speaking to that more and more. But we do it at an individual level, and I'm doing it now. And instead of honouring those sensitivities within her that are gifts, who she is in the world, instead of accepting her for who she is, I'm rejecting her and I'm repelling her. But in essence, I'm really rejecting parts of myself, and I'm repelling who I am and who I've been in the world and who I want to be, because that's what was done to me. And so my nervous system just goes to what's familiar and to what's worked and what's protected me. You see, when I get aggressive and abrasive and frustrated and impatient, that's my protector coming out, protecting that exile within me, that sensitive one that was exiled. We will speak a lot to this in level 2 in a child as well. But that protector's just coming out and hurting others and keeping others away, and that's why I feel like I just want to be by myself. I don't feel I want to divorce or separate or anything like that. I just want to be on my own. I just want to disappear into the woods. I don't want to have to deal with anyone. But that's what I did as a kid. I would just go hide or play by myself, be by myself, work it out on my own. That's what I've done much of my life. Work shit out on my own. Yeah, I've had help, absolutely. But that's been such a struggle to ask for that. Such a struggle to go there. I've tried to work out by myself, and most of the time it's failed. Or quote unquote failed. It's been deep learnings from it. So I'm sharing this to ask you to go within yourself. Where are you projecting? What are you protecting yourself from, or the parts of you that have been hurt in the past? What are you not looking at? What are you not embracing within yourself? What are you not seeing to be real and true? And what are you taking out on someone else that is your stuff to deal with? And that's the realization that I've had the last 24 to 48 hours, is that I've got stuff I need to deal with, and I'm projecting onto my beloved because it's convenient and because it hurts less. And that actually is what weakness is. An inability to face our stuff because it hurts so much, so we either project it onto someone else or we numb ourselves. And I just don't want to do that anymore. So that's the choice I continue to make, and I implore you to make that choice if that serves you as well. Power and blessings to you. I'll see you soon.